welcome everyone to the Prosperity Now Virtual Summit. Before I go on, I want to give it up to our staff that have done an extraordinary job of putting this virtual summit together. They have worked diligently and hard. They have really made a difference. And so we should give it up for those folks that are on our staff that are day in and day out doing tremendous work, even under the conditions that all of us are existing on today. I also want to thank our board of directors for their support through these times, but also our many funders who have redoubled their commitment to our vision and to the great work of this organization. I also need to thank our community steering committee led by the great Bernie Muzik. The committee has given us great feedback as we went into COVID, but they've given us great feedback throughout the years because it's your voice that matters. It is your voice that guides this organization's work. I'm so pleased to have the support of this community that has done so much great work over so many years. And I would be remiss if I didn't give my heartfelt gratitude to my predecessor, Andrea Levere, the indomitable Andrea Levere. Andrea, as you all know, has shaped this industry, has shaped this field, has really made a difference by creating many of the things that we see today that Prosperity Now has accomplished with you. Andrea has been there. And I want to say a special thanks to my good friend, Bob Friedman. Bob is the founder of Prosperity Now and also a good friend and a mentor. Thank you so much for everything you've done. For me, this is the opportunity to create the next generation of Prosperity Now, and they're standing here shoulder to shoulder with me to do that. Many of you might not be aware, but I've participated in every summit going back to 2008. As I said earlier, I know you, I know this work, I understand your passion, dedication, and commitment. And you have my word that I will walk with you on this journey. As a former community organizer, I can say to you that I believe that the answers don't reside here in Washington. They reside with you and the communities that we're working with. And so our goal is to be humble and walk with you on this journey, to listen to you and to use your wisdom as we actually tackle changing America for the better. We face significant challenges in the nation. COVID-19 pandemic, an economic tsunami, and a reckoning with the historic racial injustice that has kept the American dream out of the hands of many. I must say that on the eve of the birthday of my great hero, Fannie Lou Hamer, the Black civil rights activist and vice chair of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, who in 1964 stormed the all-white state Mississippi delegation at the Democratic National Convention. And when she said, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." The COVID pandemic has demonstrated yet again the wide gap in racial and economic inequalities in our country. People of color and indigenous people specifically are infected and are dying at a much significantly higher rate than other Americans. This pandemic is not an equal opportunity killer because the systems and structures that distribute resources in America are unequal. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. The federal government has failed its sacred responsibility to protect the safety of all Americans, particularly the most vulnerable, including our seniors, immigrants, and people of color. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. We have witnessed federal programs such as the Paycheck Protection Program, the CARES Act, that have failed to reach significant communities in America. In fact, Businesses of color and indigenous businesses have been left out and shut out and are failing at an unheard of rate in our modern times. I am so sick and tired of being sick and tired. Poor people in America not receiving COVID direct payments because they don't have a checking account and are victimized by predatory lenders. I am so sick and tired of being sick and tired. The death of George Floyd in my hometown of Minneapolis, on the very street that I grew up on, yet again demonstrates that Black people in America are not safe from the very police and the criminal justice systems that are designed to serve and protect us. The lynching of Black people did not end with Jim Crow. Day after day, we witnessed police killing Black people with impunity. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yet I know that many Americans want the same thing. We want safety for our children. We want good paying jobs. We want to pay our bills. We want to buy a house. We might even want to start a business. And I know that many Americans want to build a bridge to a better future. We face challenges before as a nation, and we know that our country can accomplish great things. Out of the Great Depression, we grew the middle class in America to become one of the strongest and most productive countries in the world. However, because of white supremacy, many were left out of these historic changes and never had a chance to fully participate in our social and economic systems. This moment requires more than incremental change. It requires us to create something big, bold, and better for our future. We need a new deal for America. We need to create policies and opportunities that work for all. We are different but similar in that we must decide today, in this moment, who we want to be as a people and as a country. I've had the opportunity to visit many of these communities that I'll talk about in a minute, but I want to say this. I know that each of you are working in your community towards the very goals that I've talked about. You're working to ensure that people have housing, employment, and access to banking accounts. You're using the Prosperity Now scorecard to accelerate your work to advocate on behalf of the most vulnerable in our society so that we can address the racial wealth gap in our lifetime. At Prosperity Now, we realize that there's some levers that we can pull to address some of the historic inequalities. And one of those levers is our tax structure. Our tax structure has played a big role in perpetuating racial economic inequalities. The federal government spends over $600 billion a year for retirement, savings, higher education, and home ownership. Yet the code reveals time and time again that the dollars largely go to wealthy and mostly white households. People of color and indigenous people continue to be left behind. While we continue to work on the policy side, we must also strengthen the work that you are already engaged. We need to strengthen our 6,000 member Taxpayer Opportunity Network to support organizations that provide assistance to families and individuals to complete their taxes on the ground. It's this on the ground work coupled with working on policy together that we're going to transform America. I had the opportunity to visit my old friend in St. Paul, Melvin Carter. They have implemented a children's savings account program that starts at birth to provide hope for young people in St. Paul that they can participate in our American dream. We have invested in young people which is the key to our future. I want to thank the citizens of St. Paul and our other sites around the country, including Los Angeles, that signed up this year, who are working together, where we've signed up over 750,000 young people into children's savings accounts. But this is only the beginning. These investments in our young people have demonstrated significant impact on their life trajectory. That's why Prosperity Now will double down on supporting baby bonds as the next iteration of our CSA Children's Savings Account work. Prosperity Now's vision is clear: to create a fair and just economy that is free from structural inequities and racism. An economy where everyone can fully participate without exception. This moment calls for us to refine our focus and direction in order to accelerate towards a singular vision, as more of our neighbors find themselves one crisis away from poverty. In fact, we are developing a new strategic plan that will lead the organization to even greater impact. Looking ahead, we must go far from just mitigating the effects of a broken racist system that doesn't work for everyone. We must transform that system by incubating, testing, and scaling successful solutions. We must center our work in communities that have been most impacted by the systems in all the places so that everyone can thrive. We want everybody to see themselves in this picture. We will prioritize communities of color and indigenous communities to create a just economy that allows full participation for all Americans. Prosperity Now will continue to work on many fronts to advance economic justice. We will convene and we will connect groups on the ground and share resources for organizations and policymakers to continue this fight. We will call upon you, each of you that are in the audience here, to join with us to build a movement, a multiracial movement of people in this country, because we all are part of the solution. The community we built over the last 30 years has really worked to uplift innovation and insights and bring everyone to the table. Prosperity Now will double down in supporting this community, partnering with you to provide funding, technical assistance, and other services so that you can thrive and so that the people that you're working on behalf of can be heard. Working with you, we will create initiatives that build wealth in communities and close the racial wealth divide. For example, Prosperity Now has put a new focus on small business development and entrepreneurship. As research has shown, this is one path to economic security. In fact, already in 2020, we formed partnerships and coalitions to strengthen the importance of this new pillar of our work. We are partnering with the African American Alliance of CDFIs to provide backbone services to support over 40 Black-led CDFIs, community development financial institutions, in providing access to capital and access to technical assistance and access to market for Black-owned businesses. We've founded with the Association for Enterprise Opportunity, the Page 30 Coalition, to hold Congress' feet to the fire in providing adequate pandemic relief to businesses of color. And we've worked alongside the expanding Black Business Credit Initiative to help the Black Vision Fund, the largest fund for Black-owned businesses in the country. And I want to give a shout out to Wells Fargo that contributed $13.5 million to this $80 million effort. But this is just beginning. I am incredibly excited for the next evolution of Prosperity Now. I look forward to the changes we will make together. Let us work together to turn this once-in-a-generation storm into the winds of progress that will finally usher in lasting change for all. Thank you again for joining us. Please stick around for our panel discussion with leaders and some of the founders of the racial equity movement in our country on how we need to adapt to our current environment and implement transformative change. Before I go, I'd love to hear from you. As I said, as a former community organizer for Acorn, I learned through Saul Alinsky and others that it is really the people that matter. It is your voice that matters. So I'm asking all of you to go into the chat right now and to actually tell us how you think Prosperity Now can have a greater impact. You have a voice in our future.